I'm making this video because I've been a full-time musician for 12 years, as a soloist mostly, though I've played gigs with bands as well, and I've ran my sound for most of this stuff. So I'm going to break this video down into 3 sections. The first one, what speakers should I choose, or speakers? And then the second section would be all about what kind of room are you in, and how do you set it up. Do not skip the end of the video because I talk about my sky-high approach to how I set up my speakers, why, and what else you have to do to make it work wonderfully well. That's the best information that I could offer you as far as setting up personal amplification. So definitely watch that. Before we jump in, please hit that like and subscribe. And also, I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy anything that I suggested through my links in the description, I do make a profit, so I really appreciate that. Helps support the channel. Okay, so what speakers should you choose? How big of shows do you play? How many people are there? Are they eating food, or is it a loud, rowdy bar environment, or are they all listening intently? That all matters. Also, what other gear are you running out of? Do you have a very basic setup? Do you kind of want to plug into something that does everything? And then, how much do you want to carry? Do you kind of wish you could stroll in from like 2 parking lots away and walk there with all of your stuff? And then, I'm going to tell you what I use right now as well. First off, how big of shows do you play? For me personally, I could be in a small restaurant or cafe, and then I could find myself at a wedding where it could be a massive banquet hall and you were like, whoa, this looked a lot smaller in the pictures. Or they're like, yo, we want you to send it, but we want it so that it can reach all the way over yonder. And you're like, oh yes, of course. But the QSCs are very good for that. They have 2,000 watts of power, which throws really well, and they're built super rugged. I don't feel like I ever have to worry about not being loud enough. I'll always tell people in my shows, if you need me to be any louder, just let me know. I'll get to how to cover a room distance-wise and not be too loud for the people up front in the third section of this video. Now, if you're going to just be in a cafe, I have the BOSE S1 Pro, and I just got that because I needed one more speaker, but I already had 3. I had the QSC K.8, which I usually use as a monitor, and then I got the 2 K10.2s, which I use as the mains. But I needed another for a gig which wanted me to play in a 360-degree circle, so I needed to have speakers going every which way. And for the K10.2s, you got 90 degrees, 90 degrees. It's like, that's 180 degrees. That's not enough. I needed something to set toward the back of me that would hit this other area. And the S1 Pro by BOSE seemed interesting because it also is rechargeable and you can use it wirelessly Bluetooth for like playing an iPod on, which is a cool bonus feature. I could literally bring this thing on a boat. It's got reverb on it. It's got bass and treble, and then a volume adjust on the auxiliary / Bluetooth input 1 and input 2. So I thought that would be a cool little Swiss Army knife additional speaker. I wanted something wholly different. So I was pleasantly surprised with the S1 Pro. And I'm going to make a video talking about where I think it could improve. And when I do, the link will be right here for that video. If you're in like a cafe setting or a restaurant that doesn't get too rowdy, it'll fill the whole place really beautifully. It doesn't push that much air. It doesn't cut through people very well. It kind of just goes around them. It doesn't hit you with like a concert level sound, but if you're just playing like acoustic guitar and singing in a cafe, and you can just walk in with something that's, look at this. That ain't nothing. And you can get a backpack for this, which I'll also link in the description. But yeah, for the small cafe, you could get away with the S1 Pro probably on its own, just playing and hearing yourself too, having almost everything you need, like the reverb and some light EQs in there. If you're just doing guitar and vocals, you could get away with just that. I still like to have a mixer, and typically I'm bringing a ton of extra gear, so I don't really need my speakers to have anything extra fancy on them because I just need them to be great speakers. When I first started playing music for a living, I bought one K8. Not the .2, they weren't even out yet. This is like 12 years ago. And I was setting the K8 up above me, and it was my monitor, and it was the whole room for like a long time. It helped me to afford everything else I was doing, really. So I'm a little biased towards QSC. However, I have used EVs at a gig recently. I had 2 12s set up on either side of me. So the QSCs have some EQ and stuff, which I'll show you right here. But there were just some more options on the EV. It seemed like it had more onboard DSP, if you will. To my ear, or maybe even just aesthetically, I still like the QSCs better than the EVs. However, the EVs are a lot cheaper and they're pretty dang sweet for the price. Now, I'm no expert on components and speakers, but I was trying to look at them for a while before I made this video, and it does seem like the QSC, first off, it has more power, and second off, it seems like the components themselves might just be more expensive. Now, you can go with the JBL. The new JBL Eon actually looks pretty sweet. It's sweet because you can sync up the EQs and stuff with your iPad, and that's different from a lot of other speakers, which will just allow you to Bluetooth your iPod to it or whatever. So you could wirelessly control both speakers without having like an extra mixer involved with the new JBL Eons. I haven't used them, so I can't recommend them. I just want to tell you all the options because at the end of the day, I profit a lot more by helping you and having you like this channel and my thoughts on things. And now you're like, what about the towers? The towers just get eaten up so much by the bodies in front of it because you can't get them up there. Now that is why I like the S1 Pro. It's essentially a little bit of the body of one of those towers up top with 3 of the 2-inch speakers as well to go with it. So essentially the S Pro is like a cut-off section of the tower to my mind. But no matter what speaker is, I want to put it up there. I don't necessarily want the speaker to be able to like offshoot down and offshoot up too much because it's just going to be too loud for the people in front. I want to have control and set it up real high. I got a video for you right here. I will set it up as high as I can. Warning, you're going to want to buy a really good speaker stand. I use these Gatorworks stands and they have not failed me ever. You also want to be careful where you're setting it up, and if you need to make sure that there's tape or something around it, what I'll do is I'll put the speaker above my head, above the room's head, and a natural EQ occurs when you do that. And if you have a speaker that just throws out straight, it's going to get to the back of the room. It's going to be a little bit darker for the people that it goes over their heads, but the thing is that then you EQ it. And I love the live bright setting on the QSC when I do this, when I put it really high, because essentially you're compensating for the difference of the muddiness when it goes above their heads with the EQ. But now you're hitting the back and you have a more even distribution of sound across the entire room. You can get a lot louder, and not only is it going to help you not feed back in a super loud room, but it's going to give you clarity across the whole room. The more people that hear you, the more tips you're going to get. The more people that hear you at a good volume, the more management is going to like the fact that you're making the room happy, that you're being heard everywhere. I've gotten so many compliments of like, you sound really crisp in here. We're having some trouble getting the sound to sound right. I'm like, you know, you just got to put the speaker up high and turn up the treble, really is the trick. Also, it matters how wide is the room or how narrow is it, because the bigger the speaker, the straighter and further it's going to shoot the sound. So if you're in a wide room, I'd want to use the K8 and I'll use the K10 on the ground as my monitor because it's going to spread it better. However, if I'm in a long room, I'll throw the K10 up there because it's a little bit narrower. K12, even narrower. So in order to deal with refractions on the walls as it's sending as far as it can so everybody can hear you, you want to keep that in mind. If you're outside, most of the same rules apply, except I just like to use a lot more reverb, and you got to turn up more because the air just eats up the sound more. But I still like to have it up high to reach further. But it's like if you're outside, you could imagine what water would look like just pouring out over infinity. It's only going to get so far before it's lost. You could always add a sub to your rig. I've got the Sub 1 by BOSE, which goes nice with the S1 Pro. I like it because it's modular, so I can bring one or the other depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't go out with the S1 Pro, I just use the QSCs and use the Sub 1. It's 34.1 pounds. It doesn't break your back. I mean, it's pretty easy to carry, and it sounds amazing. It's super fat, and I love it. I think it's a fair price point. So that'll be in the description with all the other products that I talked about. I hope my experience with using some PA speakers have given you insight into making a decision on what you want to get, or maybe how you just want to set yours up differently, or maybe try the sky-high approach that I use. Please comment below. Let me know about your experience. Do you have any unsung heroes in the personal amplification world? Hit that like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in a video soon. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.